Okay, hey y'all. This video is about the differences in these two identical steering boxes for my 72 Super Beetle. So there's the Beetle in the background, and I got what's known as the Super Beetle shakes. Every time I got up about 35 miles per hour or so, the car would start to violently shake, and I'm used to having that. A couple of my buddies have Jeeps. They get these crazy shakes. My Volvo had it when the control arms went out. So I knew kind of where to start, and I also have this great John Muir book that actually kind of lined it out as well. But while I was down there, I was just going to change out the steering damper. But the tie rods and the center link, all of those look pretty bad. These boots were all torn up. I could see rust inside of there. So I took everything out of the front end, with the exception of the torsion bar, and that's because the previous owner welded in one of the bushings, the bushing holder, because he broke a bolt instead of removing the bolt. So let me get to the meat and potatoes of this video here. Here's my original steering box. Okay, I removed it from my 72 Super Beetle. I wrote my little note right there. Obviously you can tell it's black and greasy and dirty, and this one is nice and shiny and gray, new, old. Now I'm going to zoom in here on these splines if I can get it to focus. Alright, but you see that? You've got like a weird double spline in there. I'm going to put my finger on it. It goes single, 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 double, single, single, double. And I think if I roll around, that pops up again maybe? No, that's the only spot. Okay, and then we come over to our new guy. And you can see there, it's just 100% single, very boxy, single splines. Sorry about the focus. Man, I'm really bad at this. Anyway, there are no little double splines on there, which creates a problem because I can't get this guy right here to line up. Now I can slide him right onto here all day. All day I can just take this dude, put him the same way I marked, and slide him right on. This one I get about, it looks like they're about to go, and then it gets really tough. And one of the guys I work with, his favorite saying is, if you force it, it'll break. It doesn't look like, if it went half the spline, I'd tap it on with a hammer. But it's really just finding a couple of spots to fit, and I think it's trying to drag over the other splines, and it's going to create a big issue. So anyway, I'm just taking this video to post out there. I'm going to post this to a couple of the different forums to see if anyone else has run into this. I checked on the Samba. I checked on a couple of other sites, and it seemed like there was a little bit of chatter about 1971-72 steering boxes being a smaller spline or something like that. I couldn't remember, but it didn't actually point out this little double spline. And maybe that double spline doesn't matter. Maybe this is actually smaller. I didn't throw a pie tape on it or a set of calipers. It does actually look like it has more of a taper than this one, but more of a taper on my old one than my new one. But regardless, I called up J-Bugs. This isn't about J-Bugs. I think a lot of people buy this box and it works great for them. It just didn't work for me. They're going to let me send it back, and that's great. I called them up and asked them about it, and they really couldn't find me any data on it. They didn't have another steering box to give me to fit my pitman arm, and apparently they don't actually make this pitman arm anymore. So my other option is to go to the junkyard and see if I can pull a pitman arm off of another car, and that would work out fine as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the old one back in for now. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. It had some play that I was able to tighten out. Of course, that didn't fix the shimmy. If you're gonna fix the shimmy, you've got to replace that damper, as well as look at your tie rod ends to make sure there's nothing loose in those. And yeah, so I'm gonna get back to putting this back together the way I found it. I've got my new idle arm bushing, that'll give you the shakes. I've got my new center link and tie rod ends. I've got my old steering guy. And another thing, if anyone's taking this apart for the first time, there's at least one other video that shows this. This has been sitting here too long by itself. But there's a slot on here, and you've got to pull these bolts all the way out, or you will not get that freaking universal joint off. You can beat on it all you want, it's not coming out. Those bolts come all the way out, and they align with these little grooves right here. You have to pull them all out. Anyway, yep, again, meat and potatoes of the video here. Bought from J-Bugs. Item number 113415061E. Did not fit my pitman arm. That is the only reason I'm sending this thing back, because I couldn't fit this guy on there. And this one fits, and it actually still rolls and feels pretty nice. So I'm just gonna put it back in, and I may end up having to rebuild it, which will be fun, because there's not actually a rebuild kit for this one. I believe I have to kind of piece together certain parts, or find somebody who's decided to piece them together. Regardless, that's it. Thanks for stopping by. And this box would have been alright if the spline fit. That's it. Thank you all.